Hello everyone, welcome back. In previous lecture, I explained about the thread cutting mechanism, and in today's lecture, I'll be discussing about the other types of lathe, that is the capstan lathe and turret lathe, the types of lathe machines. Okay, after this we discussed up to this. Okay, now operations are remaining. We will discuss in the later on. Okay, the previous lecture we discussed about the thread cutting mechanism. Okay, so this is how and when we have seen in the detail regarding this in a video. In the last part of the lathe machine is the leg, and they are supported which carry the entire load of machine over them. And prevailing practice is to use the cast legs. The cast iron legs are used, and both the legs are family secured to floor by means of foundation bolt in order to prevent vibration in machine. One of the leg, usually the one on the left hand side of the operator, and serves as housing or electric motor and counter shaft. Both these legs should be robust in construction. So this was about the all the parts. Now let us see about the types of lathe machine. First one is the capstan lathe. The capstan lathe is the turret of the capstan lathe mounted on a slide or ram which can be moved longitudinally on the saddle for feed of tool. Here there is one hexagonal turret which is mounted instead of here tailstock. There is no tailstock, but there is one hexagonal turret. It has the ability that it can hold multiple number of tools, and multiple number of tools can be hold to this hexagonal turret, so that number of operations can be done with this capstan lathe. Okay, now let us see the next part. The saddle itself is mounted on bed. Here you can see that the saddle is mounted on the bed. Then the turret is generally hexagonal but may also be square or round. Here it is the hexagonal, but it is not necessary that it should be hexagonal. It can be square or round. This type of machine is lighter in construction and is suitable for machining bars of up to 60 mm in diameter. Here, this type of machine is used for lighter in construction and suitable for bars up to 60 mm in diameter. The diameter is up limited to the 60 mm. More than one tool may be mounted on the same face of the turret, making it possible to machine more than one of the surface at a same time. So more than number of tools can be machined mounted, and so that here the one tool on the tool post can be mounted, and hexagonal turret that another tool can be mounted, so the two operation can be done simultaneously with this type of lathe machine. Then the parts of capstan lathe include the headstock, bed, feedstock, carriage, tool post, hexagonal turret, saddle for ram. Here there is one saddle for ram, then the lead screw and ram. Now let us see one video regarding this. The most significant machine developed by mankind is the metal turning lathe with capacity to accurately machine metal. Okay, so this is about the brief introduction to the lathe. Sorry. Now
Just this lathe, as I
this is
recall,
the
it cost me around $40.
capstan lathe machine.
It came
You can
complete with
see
its
here is
collet
the
head, a
hexagonal
box full of
turret.
collets, and its
Okay,
material feed bar. Also included was the overhead shaft and pulleys and various leather belts. as well as a three-jaw
This is
self-centering and a four-jaw
this is the
independent chuck,
three jaw chuck.
as my
Okay,
intention
self-centering.
always was to use it as a center lathe. Before using
This
the
is the
lathe,
four
I
jaw chuck.
stripped it
Okay,
completely, cleaning years of built-up swarf, grease and grime, and then repainted it. It could do with a repaint now. Overall, the lathe was in pretty good condition. Put it on two very large ball or roller bearings. I can't remember which, but I had to replace one of them, and at the time it probably cost me as a new one. I don't know how old the lathe is, but in 1938, E.P. Bevan and Son
here you can
merged
see
with
this is the
McPherson's
ram, and
Limited,
over which
who were
the
agents in
hexagonal
makers of
turret is
machinery.
there. You can see the hexagonal turret over here. Here, this is the hexagonal turret, which is mounted instead of the tailstock part. Okay, here you can see at this portion, these are the bolts and other parts. This is the hexagonal turret. Okay, this one is the hexagonal. It can be square or round. Here you can see the number of tools. Here this is the tailstock, and another tools can be mounted as a drill, reamer, or other types of tools can be mounted over it. Then there is this chuck and other part. This is the complete. You can see the top portion, the ram, hexagonal turret. Then this is the our cross slide or the saddle portion. Then we will move further. This is the belt driven type of chuck. Okay, so with the help of belt, it is coned pulley type of headstock. The headstock is cone pulley type, and the other parts you can see. Here you can see over the tailstock, the drill can be mounted and can be held over here.
I maintain a centre drill, a keyless chuck, a bar stop and a live centre. Having various accessories loaded in the Capstan saves considerable time over having to change items in a tailstock for each process. The bar stop is used to set the position of the material in the chuck
Here
when
you can
making
see
multiples of the same part.
the
The turret
positioning.
saddle can be
For
positioned
positioning,
anywhere along the bed, and each of the 6 positions of the turret has a
there are
threaded
total
adjustable
6
stop
possible
that controls
positions.
the distance the auxiliary slide can plunge. The cross slide carries a turning tool and a parting
This is the
tool that
cross
parts
slide.
off from the rear. This reduces the chatter and the possibility of the parting tool digging in.
This is the parting tool. Okay, this one is the parting operation.
A stop can be fitted to the cross slide to control the finished diameter of a part, although I rarely use it. The saddle has multiple stops that can be set to limit the travel, very useful when turning or boring to a prescribed depth. When parting off or facing material, the saddle can be locked in any position along the bed. To engage or disengage the drive, the motor is simply raised or lowered. By the
This is how the
1930s,
engage and
gear-driven Capstan lathes were
disengagement
available, but
done.
belt
You
drive
can see.
lathes were still being produced because many
Now
factories
this
still
has
used
been
overhead
replaced.
line
This one is
shafts.
the old one. Okay.
In the factory where this lathe came from, there was an overhead line shaft driving multiple machines. I think the overhead shaft and pulleys that I have were an intermediate shaft driven off the combination motor and pulley arrangement with the lathe.
So this is about the capstan lathe machine. Okay. Now next we will see about the turret lathe. Now the tool turret is mounted directly on the saddle, and the feed is given by moving the entire unit. Here it is mounted on the saddle, and the feed is given by the entire unit. While in the capstan lathe there was ram over which the hexagonal turret was sliding, but here there is one saddle type of arrangement. It complete saddle will slide on the turret. So this is the difference between the capstan and turret type of lathe. The turret lathe can thus operate under more severe condition, accommodating heavier workpiece with high cutting speed, feed, and depth of cut. So that it enables the turret lathe to be used for very severe conditions, accommodating heavier workpieces with higher cutting speed, feeds, and depth of cut. The turret lathes are capable of turning bars up to 200 diameter using collets as well as handling irregular jobs like casting, forging with chuck. Okay, so it is capable of turning up to 200 diameter using collets as well as handling irregular job like casting and forging with chucks. Some turret type lathes are equipped with the crosswise movement of hexagonal tool turret by hand or power. There is also the turret type lathes are equipped with the crosswise slide movement of hexagonal turret. There is cross slide movement is also possible. Okay. Now the turret machine provided with so-called side hung type of carriage do not require any support from rear side of bed. So for that it does not require any rear side of support, rear slide of support. So these are the parts of the turret lathe. The difference is that there is one hexagonal turret with the saddle. Okay, instead of ram there is hexagonal turret fixed on the saddle and the complete can be moved. Now let us see one video regarding the turret lathe machine. Okay, so this is how the various operation on the turret lathe are done. The complete carriage will be sliding. Okay, instead of ram it will be sliding over here. This is how the multiple reaming operation as well as the drilling operations are performed with this help of turret lathe machine. So here you can see how the various operations are performed. Number of tools are used, so the turning operation can be performed very nicely. Okay. Further, there is this. This is the knurling tool. Okay, this one is also the grooving tool. Okay, with this help of we can provide a groove over here. You can see how the groove is created. Okay, then this is the knurling tool. Okay, so in this way the multiple operations can be performed. Here the knurling is done. And this is the parting tool also. Okay, so that the parting tool can be used to part off the workpiece. Okay, or to provide a deep groove. This is means the parting tool. You can see how the part is cut. Okay, with the help of parting tool. Here you can see. Okay, so this is how the turret lathe machine is used to do multiple operations. Okay, uh, the difference between the capstan and turret lathe can be specified as the capstan lathe is having ram while the turret lathe is having saddle, but it slides on the bed, while the turret movement is limited in the capstan lathe while the turret movement is over the entire with lathe bed without any restriction. Then the shorter workpiece can be machined in the capstan lathe, longer workpiece can be machined in the turret lathe. Light duty application we use capstan lathe, or heavy duty application we use turret lathe. And the turret head can be mounted manually, while the turret head cannot be mounted manually. Here the maximum size of diameter can be accommodated is 60 mm, and here up to 125 mm to 200 mm diameter, here there is mistake, can be accommodated. So this is the difference between the capstan and turret lathe, and this is it for today's lecture. Thank you very much for listening me carefully. Have a nice day.